This is going to be the ultimate guide to Warrior Cavalry in Age of Empires Mobile, and yes, that's going to consist of Season 1, Season 2, and Season 3 to how to approach it correctly so you can maximize the efficiency for your account and get paid off with arguably one of the best matches in the entire game. So smash a like, comment, and subscribe, and let's dive into this video guide. So the way we're going to approach Season 1 is by focusing mainly on some early game ring choices that you can use even in the Warrior Cavalry or other formations that you might be working on, and two main heroes, because we do have Darius, Guan Yu, and Attila. And the thing is, Darius isn't the main commander here. You can interchangeably choose to have him or Harold in that slot. It depends what you want to do in Season 1, but honestly, do not focus on these heroes. This hero honestly just is not good enough for this game, because at the moment he increases only himself. He only increases the all attributes on himself while dealing damage. There is a 30% chance of ignoring the enemy's defense, meaning you have to build this hero with more skills and have a double damage skill on him. Otherwise, you're not going to take advantage of the defense mitigation that you have. So even when you're going to go down Darius's route, you're going to have to run weak spot attack, and to get the best out of it, Spirit Pursuit, just to get as much damage on this hero. And honestly, that is 16,000 Empire coins that you could have saved and used on a much better hero that's around the corner in Season 2. So unfortunately, Darius the Great doesn't make the cut, and even Harold in this slot doesn't make the cut for the same reasons. So bringing it back into the formation area, you've got Guan Yu and Attila, and you are going to be working on Guan Yu because you are going to use him in Season 1 and Season 2. It's not until Season 3 he is going to be replaced, so why not try and get this hero to at least 3 stars either through the Tavern and the Heroic Expedition, because you can pay 100 coins in that area and get a token for him. That means that's 2 tokens extra every week, so you can easily get him 3-star just before Season 3 and get some good use out of this hero. Attila, though, is going to be the main hero in any of this season that you're going to be focusing on. This hero is going to be mandatory to get at least 3-star for this March, and you're going to understand very shortly why. But then going to 5-star is just making him even better. But in Season 1, what I'm going to recommend for all of you guys in game is to focus on the rings that you can see on screen, because these 3 rings, no matter what, even if you change them in the future for different rings that I'm going to suggest even in this guide, you're going to be able to use them for different builds. Ring the Daisy is a phenomenally good rare ring that you can use early game that gives a ton of free cheap damage for your March, while Ring the Nine Wolf again does the same thing but also amplifies, right, which is really good with Guan Yu's might amplification, which we're going to break down in a very moment. Attila, we've got Ring of the Clover to give him some sort of survivability in this March, and this is going to be just a cheap version of one of the better rings, again, as you guys can imagine, is going to come later down the road. So let's talk about these final 2 heroes that you're going to be able to work on, because when it comes to the formation, as you can see, Attila being in the 3rd slot is no mistaking matter. You're going to need to get your Attila again at least to 3 stars, because when we look at his star ratings, his 1-star again increases your commander's might by 50, so that gives him that extra bonus, which is nice. But 3 is the big one. Increase the chance, guys, of that double attack by 5%. So when you look at his skill now at a 3-star Attila the Hun, he gives you a 35% chance of all your heroes to enter that double attack state, and increases your main commander's might by 50. This is just insane when you're going to see the Seasonal 2 main commander that you're going to be running in this lineup. When it comes to the skills, I am going to recommend running your Warrior's Hymn Critical Insight combo. This combo is just good for your Attila for the simple reason it grants as much critical strike rate to the main commander as well as to everyone in the match, doubling up on the main attack support build that he kind of is embracing. If you want to change his position, which we are going to talk about later on, you will buy weak spot attack. And it sounds crazy, but you're going to be running weak spot attack and critical insight if you choose to have Attila in position 2. That's the only condition for that. Otherwise, you're going to keep your Warriors Him critical insight combo and keep your Attila the Hunt position 3. This is going to allow, at the moment, this Warriors Him ability to roll over onto that Darius and increase his damage output on that march. So this is the way we're going to be running our good old friend Attila. And then when we look at our Guan Yu, what we're going to do with our Guan Yu is a multiple things. The first one is depending on your first unlock in season 1, you're gonna unlock critical insight. This is gonna be a major game player for your build, increasing again all the critical strike for your heroes, amplifying the amount of damage they do. And then for your second skill, you're gonna be using in season 1 Armor Piercer, because Armor Piercer is such an amazing cheap season 1 skill, and it's epic that you can easily advance. Even right now, we can advance this to 4-star and get the maximum benefit out of that skill, which is so good for your account. And then in the later stages in season 2, you can make the choice to go on what other skills you need to upgrade, and I'm going to explain that very shortly. And that is because season 2 does roll around the corner and you get access to your main damage dealer and what makes this match one of the best matches in the entire game, Lu Bu. Yes, Lu Bu is an absolute force of destruction that you do not want to miss out on. He is a hero that just does too much damage for super cheap costs in the game. And when you've got Guan Yu and Attila in this whole lineup with the more skills and their main primary skills doing critical strike, this is a match made in heaven. When it comes to the ring choices now, you're going to see a nice little upgrade and change in some of these rings, and I'm going to explain why very shortly, because Tranquil Water is going to be the best ring for your Attila, in my opinion, no matter what. This is going to allow that Attila to honestly just have this surviving ring on the march, which reduces all damage by 20. And when you have this maxed out, it's even more. It is a crazy reduction in the game. And when you are having the Tranquil Water, fighting against other Lu Bus that do not have the Tranquil Water, you are winning 10 out of 10 times, and it's not even close, because you are literally negating the burst of the enemy's Lu Bu while yours is getting through. So now let's talk about these heroes more properly in this, because we've got the Ring of the Iris there on Lu Bu, and this will make sense when we discuss the different builds that you can run for this match, because that's the thing with it. You can run 2 different rings and 2 different builds. You can choose to run Ring of the Daisy or Ring of the Iris. They're both really good for Lu Bu for different reasons. Ring of the Iris here is going to give you critical strike rate, allowing you to keep up more consistency on those crits that will fuel your main Lu Bu skill. When any of your heroes deal a critical strike, this increases the damage of Lu Bu's next customizable skill by 50%. There is a 70% chance to deal more than 1 normal attack, and this effect lasts up to 3 seconds and stacks up to 1 time. So this allows your Lu Bu, as you can see now with the critical insight that you've got from your Guan Yu, as well as the critical insight Warriors Him, and from the Attila, as much crit as possible to obviously keep that train hitting. When it comes to Lu Bu though, you've got 2 different skill choices that you can go down, and it is all about the different one skill. So no matter what, every Lu Bu build is going to run your weak spot attack. This is just an amazing, just best damage for buck in the game. So everyone is running weak spot attack. The second skill that you're going to be running is going to dictate the second skill that you unlock on Guan Yu also. So the first thing is, if you're going to unlock Spirited Pursuit, this goes down a different route. This is all about sustained burst damage and not about trying to funnel as much critical strike rate to just insta-nuke that one guy. Spirit Pursuit is a really good build, and that's the build that I personally run at the current state, and it does help you in Season 2 and then cross over into Season 3. But in Season 3, the build will change even further, and I will explain why when we hit that stage. Ripper Tiger, though, is a really cool skill. This is, again, a really powerful skill dealing some good damage, but as you can see, this increases the hero's critical strike rate, and this is the main reason we are using Ripper Tiger. We want our Lubu to crit. We need him to crit to deal that massive burst damage with the amplification that we might already have on it. So you can see why there's two different builds. Do you want to go down a crit based build, or do you want to just go down a burst build? Both are good. Both have pros, both have cons. You can check out both of these builds in a video up at the top corner there. But when it comes to your Guan Yu now, this is going to make things interesting, because depending on whatever build that you're going to be running in this, you're going to change your second skill, because we have Armor Piercer here, which is still a very good skill for both builds. But if you are running the Spirited Pursuit build specifically, you're going to be using Berserker instead. The reason why we're going to be using Berserker is to synergize as much might as possible on this hero. When this hero obviously deals a critical strike, you increase the hero's might by 107. This goes into an obscene number when this is maxed out. You can see it's already going up to 37, right? So if we max rank this, that is 85 already, and that is a base without any of my might bonus on top. So the more might bonus I have, the higher number this is gonna be. This is the exact same case now when it comes to the ring choice that we've been discussing earlier. Ring of the Night Wolf, when you look at this, has a commander damage bonus, which is a stat level. However, every normal attacks of your troop, this is your troop, not this hero, but every time your troops do damage, right? You increase the damage of all your heroes' normal attacks and secondary strike skills by 8.07% and reduce their armor by 11.3%. But as you'll notice, this is a buff for all your heroes, and this is a might bonus effect, meaning when you get that 107 extra might from that skill of Berserker, you're going to get the extra bonus added on here too, meaning all of your heroes, including your great Lubu, is getting an extra steroid from out of nowhere because of it. So it's a very cool combo with Spirited Pursuit. However, if you're not going to run Spirit Pursuit and you're going to run Ripper Tiger on your Lubu, when it comes to your Guan Yu skill, you're going to run Fatal Blow. This makes perfect sense because this skill can also critical strike. And if this skill critical strikes, as you guys can now see, it will add that stack onto that Lubu, allowing him to deal that maximum amount of damage to the hero. So these are the two different builds that you're going to be running on your march, and no matter what build you run, guys, your Attila in this lineup is going to run the exact same. It's going to run a critical sight and warrior him combo on that third slot, and hopefully that should make sense now in Season 2. Now, let's do a honorable mention before we move on into Season 3, because there's one hero that we've not discussed, and that is Rani. There is one build that you can be running with Rani in this lineup, and that is going to be running Rani in the third slot and moving over that Attila to the second slot. The reason you're going to be running this combo is a lot more RNG, but if those stars align up because of the Rani, guess what? The Lubu hits even harder than any of the other builds before, but it does take, again, RNG to do that. Do you want to base your whole march on chance, or do you want a little bit more consistency with the other two builds in game? Well, with the Rani in here, what we're going to be running is Warrior's Hymn and Kingsblade. This is going to allow you to, again, boost up that critical strike rate of your Lubu while increasing all your heroes' damage output by 22.5%. This is actually a pretty good skill in this lineup because what you can do with your Attila is one of two things. You're going to be running critical insight no matter what in this build. But what you can be doing is changing Warrior's Hymn for either weak spot attack, which is again increasing this hero's damage output, which also helps the Kingsblade proc, meaning your actual Attila does some damage now. Or what you can also do, as you guys can already see it, the 4-star armor piercer, reducing all the enemy's armor by 50 and giving you a 250% damage rate proc. That is no laughing matter. That is the same amount of damage as this weak spot attack with no actual advancement on it, and you're reducing the enemy's armor by 50. So you can run a armor piercer critical insight combo here on your Attila if you're going to put him in the second slot, and if you're going to put Rani in the third slot. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys in season 2, and I've gone down very, very in depth there, the different skills that you can be running on all your commanders with the honorable mention of Rani in there. So let's move on into season 2 and showcase one lineup that I'm going to run and the obvious lineup that you can be running as well in season 3. So in season 3, we're going to get introduced to a brand new hero, and this is going to be the hero that will finally replace that good old Guan Yu in a lot of different builds, because this is a hero that honestly wants critical strikes to happen, and that is Timur. If you've not checked out my video, there will be a link at the top again for you guys in this so you can check out his full kit in detail. But the best way of explaining this is this hero wants critical strikes to happen. Anytime you critical strike with him, you are going to be able to heal through a more skill, and that is going to allow you to just actually have some sustain and have critical insight for even more burst. When he's in the secondary slot, he also gives you a reduction, which is just absolutely insane, while offering you all these crazy buffs, as you can see on screen. So now pulling it back into the formation, you can see we've got Lubu, Timur, and Rani, and this is a really cool lineup because by running this lineup, it allows your Attila to be free, and that means if you are running something like a Mulan march with your good old friend Mehmed, you can bring Attila in there to run a Mulan Mehmed Attila combo with Lubu, Timur, and Rani, and that is an absolute insane amount of burst damage that you can be running with 2 glass cannon marches if you choose to do that. So when we're looking at the rings now, we're still running Ring of the Iris. This is the reason why I wanted to run Ring of the Iris over Ring of the Daisy in season 2, because when you are working on this crit rate now, it makes sense with the Timur because you want that crit rate online as often as possible, and the best upgrade from the Nightwolf to replace it is going to be a 4000 ring, which is Lord of the Eastern Heavens. I know this is a super expensive ring, but when you look at this ability, it is second to none because it reduces the damage of all of your heroes' active skills. We don't run any active skills, so we do not care about that, but it increases the damage of their normal attacks, which means that actual hit from Lubu is increased even further because of this skill. This also increases the main commander damage when you look at its 2 main stats at the top, as well as giving you some troop health for the first time, which is really nice, giving you a bit of sustain in there. You're still going to run Tranquil Water. This is going to give you that reduction that you're going to want in this lineup. And this is just the beginning, right? Because then moving on from this march, obviously is going to be Attila. We've got Lubu, Timur, and Attila in here, and we've got the same kind of ring setup. We've just shifted them over just to make it a little bit different on screen, but this is going to be again a obvious combo that you're going to be using in game, and I'm going to explain exactly why now, because the Ring of Iris will make perfect sense in this build because you want as many critical strikes to appear as much as possible, and you've dropped out that Guan Yu. This Iris is going to actually just fulfill that role for you, giving you consistency. And on top of that, when we look at the Timur's abilities with the critical insight and his skill one in critical strikes to happen to give you obviously the recovery, it's just again kind of a synergistic match made combo. When we look at our good friend Lubu though, this is when things are gonna change, because when we go into our build for Lubu, this is when we have to change. It feels like, and this is from my opinion now, and we're gonna have to do full tests on this while you're watching this video. Season 3 is not out fully, and we've not fully tested everything on Season 3 with Timur. But with this, you're going to be running Ripper Tiger, because again, in this build, it's all about critical strike rate. So it makes more sense to run a Ripper Tiger build with your Timur and Attila and go all out on that critical strike rate to, again, give you as much consistency on your main skill here for Lubu, as well as your more skill and main skill for Timur. So that's going to be your Season 3 rundown. Hopefully I've explained it for you nicely. You can go down 2 different routes depending on what you want. If you're a main Cav person, you're most likely going to go down the Lubu with Timur as well as Attila. But if you're more of an archer main like me, you can actually bring that Attila back over and put Rani in that lineup instead and run a Mulan, Mehmed, and Attila combo instead for you, and run 2 glass cannon marches for the Season 3. So that's going to be all that we need to know about the formations. To finish up this guide, we're going to explain the gems next for your gear, because that's very important for you in order to obviously do the maximum amount of damage. And the thing is, it is going to be a little bit controversial on one of these gems, because the first one is pretty easy for me. That's unit capacity. On our Lubus and even on our Mulans, any type of glass cannon really doesn't take advantage of troop health. I know troop health is one of the best stats in the game, but these marches just die too quick. So instead, go for unit capacity. Unit capacity is going to allow your damage to get amplified even more because of the actual scale of troops, which is a really nice bonus. When you go into the arms, we're going to increase our hero might. And then on our chest, this is where things can be changed up. I like going for the secondary strike skill damage. Why do I like this? This is increasing currently my spirited pursuit and weak spot attack. And for you guys, it would be increasing your Ripper Tiger as well as your weak spot attack. So this is where this is actually helping 2 abilities. Otherwise, if you actually wanted to try and buff anything in here, which I just personally just don't see the value of it, your unrivaled prowess is, as you will look, a passive based skill. So if you actually wanted this to do as much damage as possible, then put passive based gems. I've not tested that, so I'm not going to recommend for you guys to do this, since I run secondary strike skill gems. I just feel like they are doing better for me at the moment. Now, when it comes to the boots, all you're going to do is repeat the same process. Put a unit cap, put a hero might, and put a secondary strike skill, and you're good as golden on your Lubu. Now, Guan Yu and your Attila, as well as your Timur, right? Attila, Timur, Guan Yu, they're all going to run the exact same type of gems for your gear. So the first gems that we're going to be running is going to be unit capacity. We want unit capacity on these again to just amplify the amount of damage we want. You can see I've got unit defense at the moment. This is just a placeholder until, there we go, we've got some unit caps that we can put straight in. Again, the amount of unit capacity we have means more damage that we're going to be able to provide to these marches. When it comes to our braces here, we are again going to want as much might as possible, especially in our Guan Yu. This is going to allow his Night Wolf to actually do as much as possible, which I perfectly love when it comes to this march. Now, when it comes to your chest armor, and this is again the same for Attila. So everything you've just seen is exactly the same for Attila and Guan Yu's gems on their gear. You're going to be running troop normal attack. This is because when you look at all of their skills, let's be real, you're not really getting too much out of them, right? There are a lot of passive base, active base, and they're all over the place, right? So the best thing to do is honestly just increase their troop normal attack and just let them have some good base damage that can supply that Lubu with the final blow with his burst damage. So that's the way I like to run. You can change this if you want. I would always say just prioritize whatever gem gives you the most benefits out of 2 out of your 3 skills, and then for your boost you just repeat what you've done. So here you would put a unit cap, but I obviously don't have a unit cap on 3. Here you would have your hero might, so you would inlay the hero might, and then here you would put your troop normal tank or whatever gem you put to boost up that march. And that is everything. That is everything, guys. We have gone through season 1, season 2, season 3 now, with even the introduction of Timur on its way through the legendary advent wheel that will be it. So every hero that you can obtain for this Warrior Cavalry March, Lubu, Attila, and Timur are all legendary advent wheel heroes, including Guan Yu. Honorable mention that you could still be potentially be using in season 3. We don't know yet. We're gonna have to check out those amazing battle reports and live testing here on the channel that we do. And if you want to check those out, you know what to do. Smash a like, hit the subscribe button, and get those notifications turned on so you'll know when we go live on Pioneer test servers and whenever we go live and when we can test these formations. So until the next video, guys, I hopefully you've enjoyed it with your Lubus. Go crush some archers, and until then, stay safe, stay sneaky. Peace out.